Syracuse basketball's transfer portal haul isn't bad by any means, but it could also be a little bit better.
You are Locked On Syracuse, your daily podcast on the Syracuse Orange, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome into Locked On Syracuse. I'm Jackson Holzer, and thank you for making us your first listen of every single day here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And of course, we are always free and available wherever you get your podcast, whether you're watching on YouTube or you're listening on Apple or Spotify, truly wherever you get your podcast. And on this week's Poll Friday, I asked you all the question: what grade would you give Syracuse basketball's transfer portal haul so far? And you all voted, and that's what we're talking about here on this week's Poll Friday. Now, the reason why I say so far in the question is because Syracuse basketball still could add to its roster. They have filled 12 of a possible 15 scholarships. So they could add, and don't get me wrong, I mean, if they want to go out and get Jameer Watkins or RJ Lewis or someone that's currently in the NBA draft combine but decides to withdraw from it, hey, I don't think anyone would turn that type of player down, right? A star like that. But for the sake of argument, if and when Syracuse basketball adds to its roster from here on out, I don't really see any of those moves as needle-moving moves. I don't think any of them is really going to bring the portal grade down, but I also don't know if they're going to bring the portal grade up. That being said, let's get into the results on this week's Poll Friday. There were over 330 votes, and in first place, a B grade, which got about 2/3 of the vote. In second place, a C grade, which got about 25% of the vote, followed by an A, and then in last place, a D or an F. Now, I'm not going to lie to you all. I've thought about this over the past week because I asked the question on Monday and I don't record this until Friday. I've been going back and forth. It's definitely not an A because I still think there's a good amount they could have done this offseason. But I don't think it's a D or an F either. I don't think it's failing or below average. So I'm struggling between a B and a C. And right now, at the time of this recording, which is Friday, May 16th at 3:34 p.m. Eastern, I'm leaning towards a B minus, which I guess would put it in the B category. Here's what I like about what Syracuse basketball did in this transfer portal cycle. They got Naithan George. How about that? That was a big-time move. Yeah, he averaged 12 points a game last year, 6.5 assists, which led the ACC a year ago. He's got multiple years of eligibility, which could come in handy if Syracuse basketball wins and they make the NCAA tournament and the whole coaching staff stays another year. And then I think that would make a guy like Naithan George more inclined to want to return to Syracuse basketball. So it could come in handy that he's got multiple years of eligibility. I also do like the addition of Nate Kings, getting a three-point shooter that shot nearly 45% from beyond the arc last season. That's pretty cool. But specifically, Nate George, he's the one needle-moving addition that Syracuse basketball had in the transfer portal, because he is by far and away the best player in the class. And for the record, I think he's better than anyone that Syracuse basketball added a year ago, which was Eddie Lampkin and Jair Davis and Jaquan Carlos and Lucas Taylor. Good news is that Naithan George should be a lot better than any of those four players. This is a needle-changing move, and Syracuse basketball definitely needed one of those types of players this offseason. They got one in Nate George to be their true point guard this upcoming season. What do you like about Syracuse's transfer portal class? I'd love to hear from you in the comments section below. Now, coming up, there's one big flaw about the class, and that's coming up next on Locked On Syracuse. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment? It's easy to lose track, and that's where Monarch Money comes in. Your personal CFO giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you stop just managing your money and you start building wealth. Managing money with your partner is smoother than ever. You can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without the stress. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com. Code LOCKEDONCollege for half off your first year. This is Locked On Syracuse. I'm Jackson Holzer, and let's get back to this conversation of grading Syracuse basketball's transfer portal class so far. We talked about earlier how Naithan George was a needle-moving addition for this team, and he alone boosts the class significantly for Syracuse. He alone moves them up a full letter grade, in my opinion. And if you recall, I gave him a B- overall. Here's the one flaw, though, that I teased at the end of the last segment, and I've mentioned this before here on the podcast. I don't like the lack of defense that was added. There's really only one player you look at in Syracuse's portal class, which has 6 of them: Naithan George, Nate Kings, Tyler Betsy, Bryce Zephyr, Ibrahim Soare. The 6th player that I'm about to mention is the one guy who you look at and say, hey, maybe he's a good defender. And that's UCLA center William Kyle. He was the 2024 Summit League Defensive Player of the Year. But to not rehash everything here on this podcast, I'll save you all the trouble. He does not grade well analytically on defense, which is weird. It's one of those things where the voters are saying he's a great defender, but the nerds say he's not. So I guess we will find out when the actual season starts, right? But nobody else on the team, nobody else really in this portal class projects to be a good defender. So that's why I have to downgrade this class, because again, I'm kind of questioning their ability to get stops next season. What do you think? Comment your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you think that Syracuse is going to be better or worse or about the same defensively as they were last season? Now, to answer that question for you all, at least my thoughts on it, I think they'll be a little bit better on defense, but I don't think it'll be by that much. I don't think they'll be particularly good. Maybe they can be mediocre on defense. But I think that's a product of what you got in the portal, and you didn't necessarily go out and get good defenders. Overall, did Syracuse basketball do enough in the transfer portal alone that at least convinces me, or maybe convinces you, that they are an NCAA tournament team? Well, Naithan George certainly helps achieve that goal. Donnie Freeman and J.J. Starling keeping them certainly helps that goal. But outside of those guys, and Nate Kings is shooting, which is really nice, they're probably going to need a lot from William Kyle, who we talked about on yesterday's show, the importance level and why he's, in my opinion, the most important transfer in this entire class. Because if he steps up and he's better than he's ever been before for Syracuse basketball next year, well, then they have a legitimate starting center, and there aren't many holes in Syracuse's, at least in their starting lineup, and who knows how many contributions you get off the bench. But the roster looks significantly better if William Kyle can actually step up and be more than a capable starting center in the ACC. It would also be nice if a guy like Tyler Betsy, a former top 50 recruit in 2024, if he could have that sophomore breakout season. But when I look at this portal class in general, just the portal class, did they do enough? I don't necessarily think so. If we're saying just alone, does it make it a tournament team? Probably not, to be honest with you. But keep in mind, we're only talking about the portal class. I mean, hopefully the freshmen can have a big impact as well. What do you think? The Syracuse basketball tournament team next season? I want to hear your thoughts in the comments section below. To me, I think they're a step below that right now, but I'm open-minded. That's where I'm at with this team, at least right now here in mid-May. Now, as far as what is coming up on Locked On Syracuse in the future, tomorrow or Sunday. So one of the days are going to be a day off for me, but tomorrow or Sunday, I can promise you this episode is getting out. We will discuss the role of every Syracuse basketball returning player, which is only two of them, J.J. Starling and Donnie Freeman. So we'll also discuss the freshman roles this upcoming season. That's all coming up on Locked On Syracuse in the future. Now, to switch gears and to talk a little bit of football, thank you for making Locked On Syracuse your first listen today. Now, for your second listen, you might want to check out the Locked On Portal Show with football recruiting expert Brian Smith, who's got the latest rumors and signings each and every day. And folks, you might want to keep an eye out for five-star wide receiver Calvin Russell, because maybe he's committing in the next couple of months, and Syracuse basketball is definitely in on that race. Be the most informed fan on the rapid changes to the college football landscape, and you can find the Portal Podcast on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Folks, thank you all so much for watching. Thank you all so much for listening. If you like this podcast, be sure to hit that like button. If you really enjoy the podcast, be sure to hit subscribe. Tell all your friends about Locked On Syracuse, and I will see you all again soon.